Blend modes, as the name implies, are used to determine how two or more layers interact with each other. Blend modes are one of the most basic effects you can create in Photoshop, along with layer styles, which I'll talk about in more detail in a future episode. But you can use blend modes on any kind of layer you have on the layers panel. So let's take a look at how they work and what you can do with them. Let's click Create New, and let's make a document 1000 pixels by 1000. So change this to pixel. Deactivate artboards, resolution 72 is okay, and click Create. Background layers like this one cannot have any blend mode until you unlock them. You can find the blend modes on the layers panel on top of the field of this quick filter over here, and by default all layers have the normal blend mode. If you click this drop down, you will see you have a list of available blend modes. And if you worked with other software, other design software, or even video software, most of these blend modes are common on pretty much any graphic software that you may find out there. You can see that they are grouped. They are grouped because all of the blend modes that are in the same group act pretty much the same way. So here we have the darkening group, the lightening group. This is like the, let's call it the overlay group. They all pretty much work the same, the contrast group. And then we have some weird ones down here, and these are the color blend modes. Now, I'm not going to go through each individual one because it's simply just a matter of trying them out, and also in time, and as you get more experience with them, you will kind of start to understand what they do and what kind of effect you can achieve with each of these blend modes. So let's start to see how they work. Now, I will create a new layer because in order for blend mode to work, you need to have at least two layers. If I change the blend mode of the layer 1 to any of these blend modes, nothing happens on the canvas because there's just only one layer and it has nothing to interact with. So I'm going to create a new layer, and I will get the brush tool by pressing the B key and right click, and I'm going to increase the hardness to 100% and the size to something like that. I just want to create a couple of dots. One a little bigger, one over here, one click. Now I'm going to create a new one, and I will select a new color by clicking this icon over here to open the color picker and select maybe this color over here, something a bit more saturated, and click OK, and make another click over here. Now I have two objects. Each of them is on its own separate layer. Now, if I move with the move tool, press the V key on your keyboard. If I move the blue dot on top of the other one, you can see they're not interacting with each other right now because they are on the normal blend mode. But if you click this thing over here, this drop down, and you start to move through them, you will start to see how they start to interact with each other. Now, this is new in Photoshop CC. In Photoshop CS, you didn't have this preview. You had to actually click on the blend mode in order to select it and see the effect here on the canvas. As you can see, this is what they do. They just interact with each other, and you get certain effects. Now, as I said, I'm not going to explain what each of them does because they're just mathematical formulas behind them, and it's as simple as just going through them and see what they do. I will show you though how we usually work in a real example. One other thing I want to show you is that blend modes are available not only here on the layers panel. For example, if you double click on an empty space on any layer, you will open this panel, which is called the layer styles panel. I will talk about this in a future episode. And here some of the effects well, actually almost all of the effects have a blend mode associated with them. For example, the stroke, which is just creates a line around the object, has a blend mode, and these blend modes work exactly the same in here as on the layer, okay? But it just applies that particular blend mode that you're choosing to the particular effect you're activating here. Let's see like a real example. Let me close this. You can close tabs and documents by pressing Command W or Control W, and it's gonna ask me if I want to save this. I will choose no. And let's open this image. Press Control O or Command O. I'll click that open button. And on the stock images folder, I will choose, maybe this one. It's a really big image. I downloaded from pexels.com. I will make it smaller by pressing Option Command I or Alt Control I. If you're on Windows, you can see it's 8,000 pixels. I think this is an 8K resolution. Let's just put it down to 3,000. It's enough. And press Command 1 or Control 1 to zoom in 100%. Now, one creative way of using blend modes is combining them with adjustment layers. Now, I know I didn't talk about all of the adjustment layers, but for this episode, just click the adjustment layers icon over here on the bottom of the layers panel. And let's, for example, add gradient map. Select that. This panel will open, and also the properties panel should open. If it doesn't open, just double click on the thumbnail, on this icon here on the thumbnail, and it should open. When you click the gradient, it's going to open the gradient editor. And by default, you should have something like this or maybe something else, but just choose any preset that you have there. You don't have to know how this is used yet, but just select any preset. I'm gonna select this one, or maybe even this one, and click OK. Now, this gradient map is set on normal. As any layer, as I said, they're by default set to normal. But if you change this, for example, let's say to multiply, you will see what happens. This is what the color burn does, the linear burn, darker color. The first group usually darkens the image. Whatever effect you have is gonna intensify that and usually makes the whole image darker. The second group usually makes the image lighter. This is the light group, and you can see how the same gradient map, you can see how it looks like. It makes the image so much brighter because it affects the image on a different way as opposed to this one. This is what the overlay does. The overlay and this third group usually increases the contrast on the image. So it makes the whole thing very contrasty. Increases the darks and the light as well. The hard mix, it's a kind of a weird blend mode. Sometimes it's used to create special effects. And the fourth group is like a really weird one. This is also used to create all sorts of special effects. And then we have the color. This is the hue. Basically, it just remaps the color, changing the hue. Saturation increases the saturation. Color simply color changes the colors of all of the entire image to the ones that you have on the effect. And the luminosity affects the light values of the image. So as I said, it's just a matter of cycling through them and see which one you like. In time, you will learn what each of them do, so don't worry too much about it right now. Also, keep in mind that these adjustments and blend modes are usually used in conjunction with the opacity. So basically, let's say I like this effect over here. I could get the opacity because it's too strong and just lower it. And I could create a sort of a summer evening or sunset effect. If I deactivate it, this is the original image and this is with the adjustment. And I could add yet another one, for example, a color lookup, and just select, for example, this one, which is the drop blues. You can see it does not have too much effect in here, but fall colors do have some. Now I have a few presets here which you don't have, but don't worry too much. Just select any of them and just see what kind of effects you get, and just don't be afraid to play with Photoshop and just try new things. That's how you usually come up with creative techniques, and that's how you also develop your own style, by just playing around and trying different things, different blend modes, different opacities, making weird combinations, and you will see what you get. Okay, so with just a couple of adjustment layers, this is what we got. We went from this to this. Now, blend modes, I repeat, it's just a matter of playing around and see what you get. And you will find them, as I said, on the layer styles and also on some other places of Photoshop. and they can be used on advanced stuff, but for now I think this introduction is enough for you to just understand what they do.